Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Thursday morning. Couple of big stories this morning. Always a big story whenever the Jazz play, and there were lots of interesting things in that game last night. We'll get to that. And obviously a very interesting story, big story with BYU here. Parker Kingston, leading, expected to be the number one receiver on the team this coming year, is facing a court date tomorrow. He has been arrested, charged with sexual assault, with rape, with he's being held without bail. BYU issued a short statement that didn't say much other than they didn't know about it. And, said they didn't know about the arrest until it was made public. Whatever anybody knew about the incident or the possibility of this happening, that wasn't really addressed. Court date tomorrow. Maybe we'll learn more. Not a lot known right now. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll see. I guess there's multiple paths that this could take going forward. But first off, we'll see where this goes in the court system. And then as far as the Jazz game, we'll get to the Best of the Jazz post-game show coming up. The Kings sat 6 players. They're not good in the first place, but when they sit 6 of their top 7 scorers, we all know what's going to happen. The Jazz are going to win big, and they did. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Tim LaComb is talking hoops. We'll get to the Jazz post-game show. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s first press conference in Utah. It's coming up later this hour. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Utah Jazz won last night before they destroyed Sacramento, which I think we all expected when we had Tim LaComb on yesterday, but it hadn't happened yet. We talked with Tim quite a bit about where things are headed and all the charges of tanking. Pretty interesting that after that the Jazz won, and Markkanen, who was initially out on the injury report, was back in, and the Kings sat 6 of their top 7 scorers, figuring, well, everybody's going to look at the Jazz. Nobody's going to say anything about us. I guess it's better if they don't play at all than if they play, half the game or 2/3 of the game or whatever. Here's Tim LaComb with PK and I in the zone. Former BYU assistant basketball coach, worked for Rick Majerus at the U, and now on the Jazz pre-half and post-game shows. Tim, good morning.
I think you should add to that Aggie fill-in with Scotty Gerard.
Now that you've called a game in Logan.
I was in Logan last night. It was awesome. I try to get up there as, for a game most years. I didn't last year, but Spencer was gone, and I filled in. It was a packed house and basically a pretty demonstrative win by the Ags.
Was talking with Scotty about this, doing a hit on his show, and they've had a number of coaches run through there as they go on to get higher paying jobs. And when I watch the Aggies play, I believe that of the ones that they've had recently, I can make a strong argument that Calhoun is the best, the way he gets his team to play. They're a fun team to watch. I don't know what's going to happen if he's going to receive big money offers, but in my mind, he is runaway coach of the year in the Mountain West.
Totally agree with all that. I had a chance to watch him. I should say work, but it was run. The dude's got crazy energy up and down the sideline. Certainly really passionate, but his teams. What I look for is you can tell a lot about a coach by the way his teams play, and they're detailed. They're intense, very intense, and they share the ball. Like it's second nature. They had 6 or 7 possessions last night where they could have easily taken a shot, and they just made the extra pass for an easier one. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think he does a great job, and it was awesome to be up there to watch his team play.
There's a little bit of a debate in college basketball right now, watching Darren Peterson miss half the games, and watching BYU, who's got A.J. DeBonsa, who's really, really good, but I think everybody around the Cougar program wishes they had a little more depth right now. If you're building a team going forward, as soon as, next year or two, would you rather have one? The question I saw posed was, would you rather have a $3 million player in Peterson, if that is indeed his number, or 3 $1 million players who are all bought in? If you were building a team, Tim, and you're not, you're doing Jazz pre, half, and post, but if you got hired and build a team, which way would you go?
Well, the correct answer in that regard is every guy's going to go with the better player and feel like they can change him, right? They feel like they can make him what he needs to be or, bring out what you need as a coach. But the reality is I think there's probably somewhere in the middle. And I think this NIL process is interesting because everybody just instantly went to pools they couldn't fish in prior, and I used to look at recruiting like pools and, streams where you go fish, and you've got to have the places you get your, where you get your haul, and, you meet new people and they introduce you to new things. And, but at the end of the day, I think rosters need to be thoughtfully constructed. And I think in the early era of NIL, it's been like, oh, wait, we can get him too? Sweet. Throw him in, I think there needs to be more thought given to roles, because basketball is a team sport that depends on guys to do their job. And the biggest fight you have as a coach is to get guys to do their job. That's what you're doing all the time. So it just makes sense to me that you would bring guys in specific to some of the roles that you need.
You're going to be in the Marriott Center Saturday night?
I am. Yes, I am.
Yes, I thought you might be. They're retiring Jimmer Fredette's jersey and all that number, and go back. And that was an unbelievable time to see what he did. And you were right there. You were courtside for all that stuff. And did you guys, when did you know, wow, or did you even know it? Did it have to happen? Because what a story that was.
It really was, man. And honestly, I was fortunate because I came in his freshman year. So, his first year there was my first year there. And, we as a staff certainly knew he was talented, but his freshman year, he didn't start a game. So
he started the second half against Texas A&M in the NCAA tournament, though. In Anaheim.
Which caused all sorts of issues, but that's a whole other story.
I was there.
Okay. No, but I think the other thing is, that's what's beautiful about Jimmer's story. There wasn't anything contrived. There wasn't anything predetermined. It all kind of happened. And in a day and age where a guy shows up, in college and he's expecting a big check in 40 minutes a game as a freshman, that's not how this thing works. You got to go earn it. And, so the cool part is Jimmer went through that. And then after year one, didn't have a bone in his body that talked about transferring. He came in with Coach, and I'll never forget, Coach called me in after the meeting, and he's like, Jimmer came in here with a list of things. He wants to be our point guard next year. These are the things he wants to do. So it was all proactive stuff, not reactive. And then really, it was his junior year when, I guess one of his first games was his sophomore year in San Diego. He had a big second half, and we came back from a huge deficit to beat them. And then Arizona stands out his junior year, where he went crazy, and we had all those guys in the Ryan Hatch Fiesta Bowl jackets in tears because we just demolished their beloved Bears, Bear Down boys. And then certainly it all came to a head in Jimmer Mania, right? And pulling up to hotels, seeing literally 500 people in the portico of the hotel waiting to get something signed and having to sneak Jimmer off the back of the bus, So it's just awesome memories. But as good as Jimmer was, guys, the team was that good too. Like Jackson and Emery made it possible for Jimmer to be Jimmer. No hard sock. You go down the line, everybody was bought in. And, that's why Jimmer was great, and that's why the team was great.
It's funny you mentioned those guys, and Dave Rose always talked about program guys, and you're always trying to get guys to get in a program and then over the course of 3 or 4 years really develop into something. I don't think any of the 4 guys you mentioned made a big splash early on in their career. Maybe Emery did because he could defend, so maybe I'm not remembering it right. But I'm curious in this era how much space there is for that, because there isn't money for everybody and money to develop a whole roster. And I'm curious what these coaches are doing in this regard. And maybe you just buy 8 players every year, and then that's just the way it's going to work for the top 100 teams that if they're not in the NCAA tournament, they're at least competing for it, 1 or 2 times every 3 or 4 years. And I'm wondering if go get your starters and you got your subs, but the other spots that are on the roster – what about development guys? And what about the programs at the top? I hate to say developing minor leagues, but, you're talking to guys who went to UCSB in Northern Arizona, so we kind of know our place in the universe here. But saying to high school kids, hey, here's 5 guys you can go play for that will develop you, and we will look at you when you're sophomores and juniors. I've already been watching you for 2, 3, 4 years. I'm not going to stop. The door's open. This is how college basketball works now. There is a considerable amount of angst around the sport, especially here where people used to watching local kids go to local schools, about how those kids are getting shut out. And coaches can get pushback on that. And I'm wondering if this is a way to, A, manage the situation, and B, develop guys so you don't have to pay everybody top dollar coming off the market. You're going to pay them something. What do you think about that whole process? Because with these new rules, everybody's got to figure it out. And I think Utah State is kind of going down this road, and it makes sense to me.
Well, what I think, Calhoun was pretty thoughtful. There have been a lot of really good teams through the history of Utah State. And what's crazy as I sat there last night is they have not messed with the formula that made them great. What this has allowed them to do is maybe go out and get a little higher level top tier player. But like the makeup of that team, you got a kid who is beloved, right? Local kid who's beloved, and Mason Balsla. You've got Drake. You got Drake, point guard. You got and then you've got
Templin's in his 3rd year in the program.
Templin, Carson. That's who I was thinking of. Carson Templin's from Dallas. They've had a guy like Templin. I mean, go down the list. Just a rugged, big, of varying ability, but just plays their butt off. Brady Jardine through the years, Justin Bean. I saw Gary Wilkinson last night. I mean, so what I'm saying is I think Utah State was at least gave the model of success there some play. And I think everybody else has just been like, oh, my gosh, we can go get a 3-star for $1 million on the end of our bench. Boy, that's exciting. And to me, you're missing the mark. Development, I'm watching it in the NBA. I watch a guy like Colin Gillespie for 2 years just bust his tail an hour before the game with workout guys. And lo and behold, guess what? Give him the opportunity. The guy was ready, and he's playing great basketball in the NBA. I think you can do the same thing, and I think it's efficient. If you want to be efficient and not just throw money all over the place. And it brings in relative. Like, it's hard for me sometimes to watch local teams play when they don't have any local guys on the team. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but I do think to get people bought in, all the way interested, I think there's going to be some tweaking for sure.
The Jazz there with that unique form of tanking the other night, not playing the guys in the 4th quarter, going with the kids, has been the rage of talk in pundits and talk shows and whatnot. And I think the Jazz should just thumb their nose at these people and continue, in fact, even be more of a way to tank, because there's too much at stake and no one's going to help you. You got to do it yourself, and this is the way to go. Your response to all this outrage that seems selective.
It is selective, PK, and it's ridiculous. The number of teams I've seen through the years tank in big markets, and nobody's said a thing other than, wow, what if they get this guy? It's a little bit rich for my blood, and I do think it's probably more driven for clicks. They want somebody to pick on. But at the end of the day, if you look at what the Jazz are doing, it's pre-training camp, and they've got 30-plus games to tinker and to try lineups and to let guys, who've never finished games, and to get the new guys acclimated to Utah. So, the league can think what they want, and obviously by taking those guys out the first night, they lost. The second night, they won. So, deal with it, I guess, is my point. We're close to the end. This would be like penalizing drivers, the 100th driver in Utah that tailgates me, like right now. People don't know how to drive here. But, they should get an opportunity. I just think at the end of the day, this whole thing is fabricated for clicks. And Jazz, keep your head down to what you're doing. Because, at the end of the day, through this whole process, you developed a whole lot of guys.
Okay, so I think that's a problem here over the last 28 games. There's a quarter of the Jazz schedule left against teams that are truly awful, right? The Kings, the Pelicans, the Pacers, Wizards, Nets. There's some really bad teams out there. And there's some other teams who are and maybe have a little more hope, but I don't think Dallas and Memphis are going to sprint to the finish line. I'm not convinced the Bucks and Bulls will either. If they're sitting guys in Sacramento, it looks like they're going to sit pretty much everybody that any fan going to the game could name, right? Sabonis isn't playing. Westbrook isn't playing. They're sitting 5 or 6 guys. Back to your point about player development. You've watched Ace Bailey work. You've watched Collier work. You've watched Sensabaugh work. I think these teams that are coming in, combined with the guys that they're going to sit, I think those 3 guys can win games down the stretch that the Jazz do not want to win if they're going to hold on to that draft pick. I think that they're going to need to sit these guys in the final 28 games. Am I up in the night?
We're actually working on an initiative at the Jazz. It's join DJ and PK as 3 other starters for the Jazz for a 10-game contract. And we're going to roll you guys out there with 3 listeners, and we're going to see what we can do as an organization to protect the pick.
Okay.
No, I hear you. And it is. It's something that definitely is a game within the game, but at the end of the day, you've got Danny Ainge, Austin Ainge, those guys running things. And I would assume it probably wouldn't go to the length of DJ and PK and TLC in the starting lineup, but maybe something close to that by the end. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, they have no choice, man. If they run out their guys and play them 30 minutes a game, they got 28 games? They're winning 14 of them at least.
And my favorite part of that, I have had to sit through the last 3 or 4 years, just constantly barrage how bad the Jazz draft picks are, and how they can't do this or they can't do that. And again, it comes back to development, which is real, which has taken place here, and that's why this is even a discussion, because these guys have raised their level year after year, and that is going to be a good problem to have when the cellophane is off the top of the rim and we can actually shoot to score.
Yeah. It's coming.
Tim, we appreciate it as always.
You two guys, there was a movie that was popular in the video stores as a kid. I was too young because it was rated, but it was called Officer and Gentleman, and I think you two are both.
I actually saw that movie.
I would walk by that section and kind of peek over to see what's the stuff my mom doesn't. An Officer and Gentleman. The cover wasn't too. I was like, man, it's just the military. Why can't I watch that?
Yeah, there's a fight scene in a boxing ring. I haven't got anywhere else to go. People who saw the movie, they know the line.
Deborah, what was her name?
Deborah Winger.
Deborah
Winger was the love interest. Yeah. Deborah
Winger.
There was. I have to say that your mom made the right decision. That was probably inappropriate for a lad of your young years to have seen some of the issues.
Wasn't Deborah Winger our gal in Footloose?
Was she?
Or am I thinking wrong?
I don't know.
I'm 55, so the wires have crossed at one point or another. I don't. But the reason I say that is I'm driving past Lehigh Roller Mills right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So give Footloose a shout out. I was a little kid when Paramount trucks pulled up into American Forks, Utah, right down on Main Street, and they filmed at the church and the house across the street. I had no idea what was going on, but it was really, really neat for that to happen in a small Utah town.
I thought Deborah Winger was the looking for love in all the wrong places gal.
I'm sure she was, but I don't know what that has to do with the movies.
Well, Urban Cowboy.
I think she was an Urban Cowboy.
Wasn't she
I never saw that, but I think she was.
She was the premier lead actress, wasn't she?
This is something no one knows. Dave Rose's wife, Cheryl, was an extra in that show when he rode the horse out. I don't know, at one point or another, but she was in that movie as an extra.
In Looking for Love, whatever it was called.
Yeah, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places with Robert Redford.
Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy. It was down in St. George. They filmed the scene, and she was in it.
I thought I recognized
So there
him.
you go. Another movie trivia. What can I do while I'm going 75 and trying to avoid idiots?
Well,
on the
I was
road?
in a car scene in Chips once.
No way.
You don't know this story? Tell it, PK. It's a classic.
Dude, Ponch and John were like my running mates as kids.
Yes. We are in the city of San Fernando, which is in the San Fernando Valley over there in Los Angeles. And I'm sitting with my college roommate. I'll tell you who he is off the air. And he has this yellow Nova. And he's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And it's a 2-lane to turn left. And I look to my right next to me, is freaking Ponch and the other guy. And they're dressed up in their whole...
Ponch and John, come on.
What's really funny, it's a crazy story. Yeah, I mean, they're literally right next to me. I could talk to them, right? And it took me a second, like, are they filming a scene? And then I look, and yeah, then I see we go to make the left-hand turn, and as we're making the left-hand turn, the cameras are there. So they're filming it live, and it was an actual scene. I never watched the show because I think it came on Saturday nights, and, you know, my junior year at ASU on Saturday nights.
On, man. Yeah.
He was pre-med.
But I went over to my sister's house like in December. The semester was over, and it's a Saturday night, and she's got Chips on, and that was the very episode that came on, and I saw us in the Yellow Nova getting ready to make the left-hand turn. So I was in Chips.
Now, the only thing that make that story better if it was a Champagne Supernova, and then we'd have it made. But good work, BK. You know what? You've been around greatness as long as I've known you.
Drove through a scene with Ponch and John.
How random, I guess is the word, I don't know, would that have been? That literally happened.
Jake's sitting back there saying, let's take the break.
That's what he said. He just said, let's wrap. Literally, those are his last. Let's wrap.
And you know what? I love that guy, by the way. Jake Hatch is a national treasure.
International.
So just want to get that out there.
There it is. All right, thanks, Tim. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, I love you guys.
All right, there's Tim LaComb. When we come back, the best of the postgame show and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s first press conference. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Thursday morning. The Utah Jazz beat the Kings last night. Day started with Jaren Jackson Jr. meeting with the media for the first time. And let's start right there. Here is Jaren Jackson Jr. Sitting down and answering questions about his move to Utah.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of days I wasn't even with them. They were on the road, and I was able to go to Salt Lake with Jitty and Vince, and we're kind of just, taking it all in and getting our minds right. But, after that, meeting them in Orlando and Miami, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, you guys know them better than me, but they just seem like great guys, and they play together as a unit, and they, it's just been a great experience, made me feel welcome, everything.
You've played against this team for 8 years. You've played in this arena. What do you think it's going to be like when the fans kind of greet you and give you your official welcome to Utah?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be loud. Every time I've come here, it's never been quiet. A lot of energy all the time. So, yeah, I think I'm mainly excited for that, to have it on my side a little bit. Usually you're anticipating it, trying to work through it as an opponent, but, now it's with me.
The Jazz obviously acquired you, not just for the season, with an eye toward the future. How do you feel like you kind of fit in terms of your skill set? What do you feel like your role on this team is going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I feel like I'm versatile. I feel like I can do a lot of things, and this system is a different offense than anything I've played in before. But it's something that I think teams and me in particular not have had trouble guarding, but definitely locked into guarding. I think it's a system with a lot of movement, especially offensively, and I think I can bring a lot to the table. Learning more about it every day, I learn a little bit more. So, asking me right now about it is a little bit tough, but I'm still learning like a couple things every day that would be unique to me in the system that's going to help me.
What's it like playing alongside Larry? I mean, he has a lot of size. He's weapon on offense.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much he can't do on the floor, which definitely helps everybody on the team. And I think just being a threat from everywhere, you can't go under. When he puts the ball on the floor, you have to respect him. You know, when you're driving at him, you have to kind of make a choice, stay home, or it's kind of lights out with him. So, you know, it's been crazy to play against him for this many years and seeing him improve. And then, you know, at this point in our careers playing with each other, I think it's nice.
There's kind of been a lot of talk league-wide about you guys sitting in the fourth quarters of the last couple games. I'm curious, how do you feel about it?
I mean, as a player, you always want to be out there, but you know, if you're out in the first quarter, out in the second quarter, third or fourth, I mean, you just have to make an impact when you're in the game. That's what you have to focus on. If you focus on when you're not out there, you know, you're gonna struggle as a player. If you're a rookie, a young guy, you wanted to play in the first half and you didn't, or whatever, you play in the third, like all that comes into play, man. You have to. This is my 8th year, so stuff getting thrown at me. I feel like I have enough experience to, you know, be mentally capable through anything.
You know, when you look at where you started in this league, you know, kind of as a teenager, and now you're, what, 26, 27?
What am I? Something like that, right?
Something like that.
26, yeah.
But, you know, you're rounded into the prime of your career. I mean, you know, what's that journey been like for you? You know, starting out so young in Memphis and honestly going to a franchise. You know, obviously the geographic part is different, but you know, a lot of similarities between the franchise that you're going to as opposed to the one you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been feels like 3 years, but it's been 8, and yeah, I'm blessed to be able to be here like this. You know, people who get closer and closer to a decade in a year, that's special. You're in rare company at that point, and you know, there's so many people I could give credit for helping me get to this point. But yeah, I'll probably save that for a speech down the line or something. But I just, you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed for everything that's happened to me up to this point. Everybody who's believed in me and helped me work on my game and trusted in me. And I feel like I've gotten better every year, and I want to continue that no matter how old I get, you know. So, yeah.
You know what it's like to be on a playoff team, playoff contender. Maybe not this year, but where do you see the trajectory of this team? Do you think this team with a full season, full off season with these guys, this could be a playoff team as early as next year?
100%. I mean, my goal is to come here and, you know, win a championship here. So I don't really think my mind is geared toward anything else. That's just kind of the mentality that I have. And then when you look at who we have, like, I really like what I see.
You mentioned getting better every year. This staff prides himself on player improvement. What's your relationship been like with Will? We saw you out there talking with him after shoot around, but it's early. But what are your thoughts about him and the coaching staff? Yeah,
I mean, our relationship started like hour 2, you know. So he's probably the second person I talked to when I got back to my house on the phone, you know, after seeing everybody and my own staff and everybody else. And it was a whirlwind at first for sure, but, you know, they had a game that day. And, we had a game that day. And I was talking to him just about how the day is going, honestly. But right now, you know, it's a lot of X and O's, how he sees me in certain systems, and I'm just learning terminology, the plays, different options, different reads. And then I'm kind of shooting ideas that I've had about certain things and just how we approach, you know, practice and the games, and it really comes from a lot of me asking questions to learn about what they were doing before I was here. So yeah, you know, we're talking about everything. Great relationship.
At 26 and 8 years in the league, you're a younger coach. How would you describe your leadership style?
I like to lead by example. I think being year 8, like, the league's getting younger and younger, and everybody's just kind of like, like these guys are young. So I think just leading by example, my work ethic, and that's kind of like the main thing, being vocal, especially defensively. I think that's where you really can make your mark. If I were to give advice to somebody for anything, to really make your mark defensively, because that's where you can be the most vocal. Offensively, you can talk offensively, but there's a lot more moving around, a lot more things you got to focus on. But if you can disrupt the other team with your voice and communicate to the guards and communicate to anybody, that's going to mess up your opponent. It's going to help us. So, yeah, just being vocal.
Looking at next year, you won't see it this year, of course, but playing with Walker Kessler might be one of the better defensive centers you played with. You might be at your best at a roaming four kind of role defensively. Are you excited for that pairing with him?
Yeah, I mean, I've played with Walt before in USA, so I know what he brings to the table, and he's hard to score over. So I'm glad I'm on this side of it, and I'm glad, they're going to see me, they're going to see him, they're going to have to make choices. That's what it's really all about, making the other team make choices and giving our team a ton of them.
Curious what your perception of Utah was and the Jazz organization as an outsider for 8 years, and is there anything different that you've learned since the short time you've been here?
I think, everybody's pretty nice. I think it's a very, I don't know if it's a homey kind of vibe when you're driving around. It feels pretty homey. I don't think I got out the hotel much when I was. Well, actually, that's not true. I've been here for All-Star, Summer League. I was here. I know about Park City. I know, it's beautiful views. I used to come here to ski when I was younger with my mom. So, yeah, I do kind of know. I don't think when I was younger I was paying much attention, but yeah, I think we're selling out games. I think just the fan engagement and everybody just being happy, and the reception I've already gotten has been great. So I really appreciate that. That goes a long way for me. And it was hard to breathe. So I'm glad to get that on my side too and get adjusted to that. So everybody else got to deal with that.
Knowing that you and Lowry are playing together, you guys are unique as the 7-footers who play outside in, both shoot the ball, both on the floor. If just curious, if you were having an out-of-body experience and you had to guard two of those guys, how would you do that as an opponent?
Two of who? Me and him? Oh.
Yeah, two 7-footers who play like that on the same team, kind of simultaneously. How would you deal with that, and what's that going to be like, kind of being on that side of it?
It's a blessing to be on this side of it. How would I guard it? You just got to make stuff difficult. We're NBA players. That's how I would approach guarding other talented NBA players. You can't just expect to take away every single thing. You have to make life difficult and force them into stuff that's uncomfortable time after time, so they get tired and they just do stuff they don't want to do. And yeah.
All right, there's Jaren Jackson Jr. They had the media availability in the morning, and then they went out and destroyed the Kings, who sat 6 of their top 7 scorers. DeMar DeRozan had to play. I don't know how he drew the short straw, but he had to play. The Jazz blew the game open in the first period, and it was a joke of a game the whole way. And they pick up win number 18 on the year, one more than they had last year. Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
Your Jazz recap on DJ and PK. It's JP Chunga of the Utah Jazz Podcast Network. Well, it was not a contest. In Jaren Jackson Jr.'s home debut, the Jazz destroyed the Kings 121-93. Triple J finished with 23 points on 8 of 13 from the field to lead his squad. Pretty predictably, he was the main subject of Will Hardy's postgame comments.
It was a great win. I thought the team was really focused for the most part, start to finish. Did a good job protecting the paint again. It's been a theme lately, and it's allowed us to play in transition a little bit more than we have been, which has been good for us. And then I think, the group is doing a really good job of playing off of each other. Again, Jaren is starting for us. It's a lineup that we haven't played with. He's playing with people he hasn't played with. They're trying to get used to him, and I feel like the guys are making a lot of good decisions, and it's making us very efficient. I like the spirit of the team right now. I think they're really focused, and I thought we executed on both sides of the ball. It was a good win.
Is there something you're trying to emphasize with these fourth quarter lineups that you want to see from the guys specifically?
They're being coached the same as everybody else. We want to protect the basket and be physical. Offensively, we still continue to play a lot of off ball. So we've got to help each other create the advantage and keep the ball moving. Tonight we end up with 34 assists, which obviously is something that we're always going to be proud of. We want to play a style where everybody's involved.
Do you think there are things Isaiah, Cody, Bryce, Kyle can learn from kind of Vince and John and Jaren coming in and kind of maybe those guys being used to having more of a defensive presence?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot to learn. I think there's a lot to learn from those guys in terms of their communication defensively. I think all three of those guys are great communicators, and they're physical. They're in the right spot a lot. They get to the spot early. And then on the flip side, I think that those guys are adapting to a little bit of a different style offensively, and I think that they can learn from some of the guys that are here in terms of some of the reads that we can make and some of the positions for us offensively and what the advantages of those can be. Like I've said to you guys before, we as a staff are learning about our team, and we're all learning about the new guys. We're trying to take them all three at face value and try to understand their skill sets and how they can best help us.
Jaren had a good game tonight. How does he help elevate your team?
Yeah, it would be a much shorter conversation to discuss the ways he doesn't elevate our team. He's a very efficient offensive player. He can do it both inside and out. I told Jaren that I think the thing that I've appreciated the most about him offensively is how he uses the three-point line. I think he has a good ratio right now. He's not just launching threes. I think he's a capable shooter, but his physicality and his touch around the basket's really good for us. Defensively, size, length, and elite communication. He's helping us in a variety of ways. He's taking the pressure off of the other guys in some ways, and I also think that they're taking the pressure off of him. I think that's where he and Lowry are going to get talked about a lot, and rightfully so, but I think that Nurk playing with those guys, the size of all three of them, they help each other in a bunch of different ways, so I think he's fitting into the group really well.
Between the third and fourth quarter, Keontae went and got Jaren and pulled him out on the court and kind of showed him a couple things, like where he needs to be standing. Have you seen growth from Keontae as far as being a teacher, or is that something he's always been willing to do?
Yeah, I felt like they were having more of a conversation. I don't know if Keontae was, I didn't listen to everything they were saying, but it felt like they had been having an ongoing conversation towards the end of the quarter about some of the different things that we were doing. I think Keontae in general has become a way more willing communicator. I think, he's maturing as a person. He also has Keontae's a really, really bright young man, and he understands our system. And so I think he has become somebody who is a source of knowledge for new guys that are coming in. Keontae loves basketball. Believe me, he wishes that he was out there, like he's itching. And so I think those conversations keep him engaged.
Coach, I know you talked about it a little bit, but it seems like Jaren's meshing with the guys pretty well just 3 games in here. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. He's, when we traded for Jaren, obviously there's so much talk about the player, and I'm very excited about the player, but what we're trying to build as an organization and a program, like Jaren's character and who he is as a person is just as important. And I think that has been really evident from the day that he got here. He's a high character guy. He's got a good sense of humor. He also has a respect level that comes with him because of how he's played during his career. So I think that from a human standpoint, he's meshing with the group really well. We haven't talked about that as much as the player piece, but what I've seen from him and Vince and John is that all three are really, really high character guys, and we're lucky to have them in our organization.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tony, nothing?
Into the locker room, where Cody Williams continues to impress. He scored 9 points and grabbed 5 rebounds off the bench. He spoke post-game with the media.
A little team chemistry going on. I know it's still going to take, time, but it's nice when you kind of feel like a rhythm and you start clicking with guys who, you haven't been on a team with before. So I think the fact we're able to play multiple lineups and still be successful, it's just a big confidence booster, and it kind of just shows, what the future is going to look like.
What did you think about the pace you guys had, especially in the first half, to really start controlling things?
Yeah, I think the big thing is just defense, especially with the lineups we have and adding Jaren, getting the stops allows us to go out and run and, push the pace. And, Zay's pushing the pace. So I feel like that gets us a lot of easy ones in transition, but it all starts with defense.
And what has that addition with Jaren been like?
It's a lot more switching. Our defense is a lot more sound. Great rim protector, too, and he can switch on the guard. So it kind of just makes our defense more solid and, forces them to take tough twos, a lot more rim protection, and then, we get out and run like we did today.
Coach mentioned before the game that what's been most impressive is that he is such a communicator on defense and loud and really passionate as well. And even when he's not in the game, that kind of influences others. Can you feel that, or what's that energy like?
No, for sure. Especially, Walk was kind of that guy, defensively. That was talking, louding, pointing in every direction. He was kind of like the general. So, he went out. Now we have Jaren coming in, kind of being that vocal voice on defense and directing people and kind of taking charge. I feel like, that's what's going to allow our defense to take that next step.
Lauri Markkanen's life got a whole lot easier with Triple J joining the fold. Markkanen scored 19 in the effort and talked about the addition of JJJ.
It's tough when you have a big lead like that and kind of lose focus. I think we slipped out of it a little bit at the second half, and obviously can't have that. But that's where it all starts, on defensive end of the floor, and kind of get out and get some easy buckets after that.
What's the initial impact that Jaren Jackson Jr. makes? What do you like about him instantly, the minute he got with you guys?
I mean, huge. Just defense. He's size. He can protect the paint. He can guard the perimeter, and then obviously on the offensive end, he's a tough matchup with anybody. But they kind of, with all three of us out there, we have a big lineup, and someone's going to have a small a lot of times, and he's one of the best ones to punish the mismatch for sure.
You can empathize with what it's like joining a team, at a different point in the season or very quickly. His body language seems great. He seems genuinely happy to be with this group.
Yeah, he's been good with us. He's trying to build a relationship with everybody, and it's really fun to hang out with him and kind of pick his brain, how Memphis was and what he's trying to bring here, and so it's great to have him.
Where do you see the ceiling of this group when you guys are all together and healthy and just kind of rolling a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a high ceiling with, tonight we didn't have our full group out there, obviously, and just getting Keontae and Walker back, and really excited what we can do with this group. And so I think we can do a lot of different things on, different coverage on defense, and then run the offense differently depending on who's got it going and what the matchups be. And I think having this group of guys, and obviously Will leading us, and he's a kind of picking his brain too, getting us what's working on different nights, and so I'm really excited.
What's it like kind of being on a team that's been rebuilding for multiple years, and just kind of seeing that the light at the end of the rainbow is kind of there a little bit?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, just kind of seeing the direction, and obviously seeing what he can do on the court, and I'm really excited about that future already, and so really feels good.
Will talked about wanting to develop the two-man game between you and Jaren. What does that mean for you, and what are you looking for?
I mean, obviously, we're trying to work on it. It's been a couple of days, and we really haven't had practice time yet, and so it's really exciting what we can do. Like I talked about the things that he can do offensively, and they got to pick their poison, and we're going to mix it in every night, getting different looks. But yeah, I'm really excited getting like practice time and workouts together and kind of build that two-man connection.
Already talked about it a little bit, but it seems like Jaren's meshing with this locker room really well already this early. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, and like he's open to everybody. He's talking with all my teammates, and he's getting along really well. And we're obviously really excited to have him. So everything's been really smooth.
So the Jazz make it 2 in a row with Jaren Jackson Jr. Last one before the All-Star break is tonight at home. They host the Trailblazers at 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins at 6. This has been your Jazz Recap on DJ and PK.
There's the best of the post-game show. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.